All right, let's kick this off, guys. Welcome to week number 2 of the Options Advisories. This is our weekly Friday webinar. Those of you that are watching this as part of the weekend update, you'll note that it'll just be the first 10 minutes and then it'll be private, but I do invite you to join us, ShadowTrader.net, click on Premium Services, and you can be part of this each week if you sign up for either of the 2 advisories. So I'm going to kick off, Scott, actually, just where you left off just now. You were just talking about poor highs, and that's very, very important, actually. This is being recorded on Friday at 3 p.m. is when we're starting. And so why don't we start with profile instead of going into instead of starting with technicals first. So we do have a repair of the prior 2 poor highs, which are here and here, correct? Right. So you do have a repair, and that's important to note. So they are repaired. However, and it's only 3:04 p.m. So I can't say exactly what is going to happen. But you should note that I've written we have a developing poor high on today's, right? Today is a developing poor high. So let's say we were to close right here, we would expect a little bit of give back overnight Sunday or Monday, bringing the market a little bit lower, at least overnight, and it could develop into more. Now, one of the key takeaways that I'm seeing from this market is the simple fact that, and we've talked about this before, it's very, very important to carry forward this type of information, and that is when you have a situation where what should happen doesn't, it's a relatively strong signal that the market is going to go in the other direction, right? And one of the signals that we got is that if you look on September 27th and September 28th, and I'll make it bigger there, put them in the center of the screen, right? We had back-to-back poor highs where there was no excess. And that is, as Dalton has taught us, has always said, that's exponentially powerful. That's stronger than just, like, basically what he says is that 1 + 1 doesn't equal 2. 1 + 1 equals like 4 or 5, basically, right? That it's exponentially powerful. So I would have expected that at some point we would have backed off from this at least overnight last night, and it actually turned out to be one of the smallest overnight ranges that we've seen. Very, very tight, with overnight inventory 100% net short, and yet here we opened today a slight move down just to take out the overnight low, back to the open, and then what? Boom, off to the races, and we just go. Right, so this prior all-time high I'll leave here, and we made a brand new all-time high. Structure is not the greatest, but that's typical of this market. I like the way the value is forming up on top. So yes, there's some momentum trading taking us here and then balance. I understand that's the letter P formation. Could be better, but honestly, with this market, what do you expect, right? You got to kind of take what you can get. This is the market that we're in. We know there's a lot of short-term trade here, et cetera, okay? So that's my takeaway thus far on the profile. So for now, bullish. I think the reference areas going forward would have to be this prior all-time high. Obviously, those with a more bearish bent are going to want to see that area, see value and acceptance consistently above that area. If we start to see value and acceptance below that next week, then this could be a look above and fail. Remember, on a profile that is by itself, so to speak, and this isn't a gap really, but it's by itself, remember, and doesn't have an excess high, it can be said that the entire day is excess if the next day, say, gaps down or moves away and all the value is down here and we fall into range. You can kind of look at it that way, just saying, going forward. But to me, everything seems copacetic, status quo. Looks like we're probably pushing a little bit higher. I am slightly concerned about the fact that today is the last day of the month, and that's why I have a lot of ideas to share with you, but I didn't get too active in them except for Facebook. Facebook was just ready to go, so we had to do Facebook as a trade. That was yesterday, actually, and then added a little piece to it today, but I have a lot of ideas for how I think this is going to play out coming into this earnings season. But as I was saying, it's a little bit, I would say, just slightly nerve-wracking. I'm just wondering, does any of the bullishness have anything to do with the fact that it's the last day of the month? I don't know. It could, but we'll see. So we'll just kind of take it day by day. All right. Let me get over to, let me just put on this screen for you. All right, let's move to technicals if we could. All right, and I'll make this bigger. So you guys should be seeing ES here. Let's go from the top and let's start with S&Ps. All right, and I want everybody to focus on the second trend line, which is the higher one. The second channel here, which is 2540. This is where I think the market is headed. We should probably have no problem pushing to there. We are up against a short-term channel resistance, but note that it's a channel within a channel. So it does not have as much import as we would looking at the 2540. The 2540 level is really kind of the one where we're going to be looking. So I think there's possibility that we push to that, all right? Dow looks just fine, has trend channel a bit higher. We could see 23,000. I know it seems like it's crazy. It's another big number, but that's 630 points away. It's not that far. It is possible. It looks like we are moving in that direction. Let's go to NDX, which is super important. So this is really kind of what is should be kind of the crux of this whole thing. I want you to pay most attention to what I'm saying here about NDX, because if everything plays out for the next 3 to 4 weeks like it should, meaning that there should be pre-earnings run-ups in a lot of names, FANG and other, then it will be driven by this chart. And this chart is not actually, for all intents and purposes, overextended to me. Notice that you have this consolidation area here, right? A little bit of come down where you came down in this area, right? And you move up, and then it's just been sideways, and you do have like a big kind of green reversal candle here, and the NDX still hasn't made it above all-time highs. So there's still room to run here. And part of the reason for this is because some of the money has been flowing into the Russell, right? The Russell is just out of control. Small caps are just rallying like crazy. And I've mentioned this before, and I'll mention it again, that in the bigger picture, that generally is not what you want to see. You don't want to see small caps this strong, correct? And the more quality stocks weak. Now, a lot of those quality names did step on it a little bit today, and they did kind of pick up. Certainly Facebook, Google's up 9, Priceline is up 21. It was up almost just over 30 earlier today, right? So these names have started to step up. NetEase up 7, Baidu up 5.7, right? They have started to step up. So I think we're going to be okay, but it is somewhat of a concern that the small caps are so strong, all right? And we'll talk about the IWM trade momentarily when we after I go through some of these trade ideas. All right. So overall, the takeaway is that we're kind of bullish, right? In terms of where we are. So we know that we're coming into Q3 earnings season, and I have a bunch of names written down here. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I want to go over 10 charts with you guys, and then I'm going to talk about a couple of sectors as well. And of these 10 charts, I have about 4 out of the 10 that I have higher confidence in are going to be doing something. And these are probably the names that you're going to see, at least in the weekly advisory. And Scott's got his own ideas, and some of our ideas overlap. So you may see some of these same ideas in the time spreads advisory.